What's up, all you stoners and doomheads? This is Nick from the band Elder, and you're listening to Doomed and Stoned Latino America.
Hola, bienvenidos a Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Continuamos con esta serie de especiales alrededor del mundo. El día de hoy tenemos a Nick DiSalvo de la banda Elder con nosotros. Es un gran honor poder platicar con él sobre acerca de su nuevo disco y pues bueno, un poco sobre la carrera de esta banda que se ha convertido en una de las mejores de esta escena Stoner Doom. So, hello Nick, welcome to the show.
Hello, Roman. Nice to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, nice to hear you. How is everything going there in Germany?
Fine. It's cold, it's the dark time of year, so everyone's kind of like settling into their nests and getting ready for like the extended Christmas period. It's always kind of a nice time. It's gray, cold, snowy, perfect time to stay at home and play guitar.
Oh yeah, the best. I can imagine. Here is sunny, yeah, windy but sunny. I can imagine it's so different. They're dark and oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind a short trip to Mexico City myself sometimes, but that's what we got here in any case. Try to make the best of it.
Yeah. Well, the first question for you is you guys started like a stoner doom band. I remember your split with with Queen Elephantine, but through the years you have achieved a very unique sound. Can you tell us a bit about your experience on that constant evolution of the sound?
Yeah, I mean, every record we've done, we've tried to really do something different than the previous records. And the only real challenge we ever set for ourselves was to not put out any filler material, not to put out any songs that we felt weren't 100%, packed with ideas that we found interesting and not making compromises on that level. And I think just, starting from a kind of like more stoner rock sound, it was a natural evolution for us as we got more and more into like different kinds of music to try and bring in different influences into what we were doing with the band. Just some of it was like pretty organic, like I'll never forget like seeing Color Haze live for the first time and just like watching Stefan run up and down the fretboard of the guitar and like play these super crushing groovy heavy songs that were also like very uplifting and melodic. Just like little experiences like that along the way that kind of informed and changed the way we think about writing music, making heavy music that doesn't conform to the stereotypes or like the genre confines that many other bands kind of trap themselves inside.
And I really appreciate that you try to change your sound because it's not like the classic stoner doom who want to sound like Electric Wizard, for example. So for me, that's very unique, very special. You show to all the people that you can combine different sound. It's not just the classic stoner from the desert or doom. So you can get elements from progressive, from crowd rock, from different sounds and bring it to this to the stoner scene. So for me, that's very, very special.
Yeah, it's really just a reflection of the kind of music that we enjoy playing too. And I love a good old fashioned like heavy riff, but there's also a lot of other music that I love, and it's rewarding to bring that all together in a way that's still cohesive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so next question for you. I know you and Michael moved to Germany. So how has been the process to work with Jake over the States? How the band has survived to this geographic distance?
It's been a challenge. I won't lie that it hasn't, but it's not a new challenge for the band because I've often lived in Germany, like at different periods in my life, over the past 15 years, where we kept the band going, just like sending ideas to one another. And yeah, I guess we've had to kind of tailor our approach to how we make music and how much we're able to do collectively. So, it definitely solidified my role as the songwriter of the band, basically, just because, for a long time I was the only one who was over here before Michael came over and before we got our German drummer in 2019. So I was basically writing most of the music and sending it to the guys, and we just would meet up before recording a record for some time to work through the details or before tours. But under like normal circumstances, we were touring so much, like at least 3 to 4 months a year, maybe even more. that it didn't really even feel like we were missing out on each other's company so much. Because we'd spent so much time together, and I think after the long tours, we were all ready to just like take a break and retreat to our separate corners of the world anyhow. Yeah, there's definitely times that I wish that we could, well, I wish pretty much all the time that we could, meet up and have normal band practices, but at the same time, we want to follow other interests and other aspects of our lives that sometimes mean you have to go other places. And I'm just glad that we can keep the band functioning kind of like a normal band throughout all of that.
Regresamos a este Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Estamos platicando con Nick DiSalvo de la banda Elder y justamente le preguntamos cómo están las cosas en Alemania. Dice que son un tanto frías ahora, oscuras. Dice que es el tiempo perfecto para estar en casa y tocar la guitarra. Se está preparando para celebrar la Navidad, las fiestas. Y pues bueno, obviamente quisimos conocer un poco de la evolución del sonido de Elder, de la banda. Recordamos ese split que sacaron con Queen Elephantine hace algunos ayeres. Sonaban bastante doom, bastante stoner, pero con el paso de los años han cambiado drásticamente su sonido. Y bueno, para él dice que ha sido una evolución natural de la banda, que siempre tratan de hacer algo diferente en cada disco. Han tenido muchas influencias, dice que en su caso cuando escuchó a Stefan de Color Haze fue algo increíble y que ahí se dio cuenta que pues estaba padre el sonido Stoner Doom, pero había más cosas más allá, ¿no? Entonces siempre tratan de ponerse nuevos retos, nunca tratan de hacer un disco con relleno, siempre tratan de superarse, traer ideas nuevas, interesantes. Dice que sí aman el Stoner y el Doom, pero hay otros sonidos por ahí que descubren y los van incorporando a la banda, y eso ha sido pieza clave para que su sonido vaya evolucionando de forma natural y orgánica. Así que pues bueno, también les preguntamos del otro lado cómo ha sido vivir en Alemania desde que Nick se fue para allá y después lo alcanzó Michael. Cómo ha sido trabajar con Jake a distancia de Estados Unidos a Alemania. Pues bueno, son varios kilómetros. Y pues bueno, dice que Alemania no es un lugar ajeno para Nick. Él en los últimos 15 años ha vivido en varias ocasiones allá, y pues bueno, ahora reside de forma permanente. Y pues bueno, han sido cambios muy fortuitos, porque pues bueno, antes tureaban mucho, estaban en el camino, en la carretera por 4 meses, y pues bueno, todos estaban juntos. Y dice que tal vez esta distancia, marcar esta distancia, ha sido también sano para la banda y ha sido parte eh, pues de uno de los elementos que los ha mantenido juntos y más fuertes que nunca. Antes Nick escribía toda la música, mandaba las ideas, y ahora que está Michael y que tienen un baterista alemán, pues bueno, es mucho más fácil el proceso de composición. Así que bueno, dice que está bien tomar un descanso, que está bien reflexionar sobre lo que está haciendo la banda, y que a pesar de que no pueden estar juntos siempre, pues bueno, cuando se ven es increíble, son buenos amigos. Y pues bueno, también esto ayuda, ¿no?, a que se mantenga la banda en la mejor forma, obviamente. Y pues bueno, también le preguntamos sobre su tour. Esto es lo que sigue a continuación en la entrevista. Por Estados Unidos los pudimos ver en San Diego, California, junto a Dreadnought y Beelzebub. Y pues bueno, tenían muchos años que no venían a Estados Unidos, así que pues le preguntamos cómo fue turear después de la pandemia. Dice que Estados Unidos los recibió con mucho entusiasmo, que sintieron muy bien, y que bueno, la situación es muy diferente en Europa actualmente. Está muy difícil hacer tours en Europa, tocar, todo está muy caro, subió la gas, la renta del equipo, de las bands. Obviamente hay una competencia enorme, todo el mundo quiere tocar allá, los venues están pues sobrevendidos prácticamente, todo el mundo está tratando de vender boletos, los promotores, la gente no está yendo a todos los shows porque bueno, también hay una recesión económica a nivel mundial, y pues bueno, esa inestabilidad económica hace que sea difícil poder tocar en Europa. Así que pues bueno, lo llevan con mucha cautela. Por fortuna dice que el gobierno les ha apoyado un poco, no en todos los países, pero pues bueno, en algunos les apoyan de cierta forma. El gobierno ha apoyado venues para que no cierren, a bandas para que continúen trabajando. Así que bueno, pues ha sido, la verdad es que un tema bastante complicado. En México lo vemos, ¿no?, todos los días, como tenemos cientos de festivales, cientos de bandas que están viniendo, y uno no puede pagar todos los conciertos. Es muy complicada la situación, pero por fortuna, cuando estuvieron en Estados Unidos todo salió muy bien. Así que pues bueno, se siente muy feliz Nick DiSalvo. Vamos a escuchar esta última parte de palabras de Nick. Ya regresamos aquí a Doom and Stone. Gózala.
Hi, this is Elin from Blues Pills, and you are listening to Doom and Stone Latin America. Thank you so much for having us here. We love this country. Take care and be yourself. Yes.
Well, talking about tours, finally, after years, you came back to the United States for a tour with Beelzebub and Red Now. How was the tour? How things have changed on touring after COVID over there?
Our tour in the States was amazing. We've had great great turnouts, really great crowd, super enthusiastic people, and we were just kind of not sure what to expect. So it was the best possible surprise to see that. Well, I don't want to say like the whole concert scene in the States is so strong, because I have heard mixed things depending on what band or the circumstances. But for us, it really felt like there was a ton of enthusiasm, and that was kind of juxtaposed against the current situation in Europe, because our other two recent tours have been over here. And well, how to put it nicely, it's difficult right now. Like there's been a lot of circumstances that made turnouts here like not great. Not a lot of organizers, bands, and venues here have been struggling over the past year, even since concerts were possible again, because there've been like really low pre-sales for most small to medium-sized concerts, and there's just like a lot of financial instability to the whole thing, probably due to like many factors. At least I know it's here it's definitely there's a lot of competition. Like every band in the world was going on tour again as soon as they could, and Europe's kind of in a recession, pretty much like seems like everywhere else in the world. But yeah, people are being very choosy and being very cautious with their money. And yeah, we noticed that a lot here, especially. So, the whole live music ecosystem, in my experience, hasn't quite returned back to equilibrium. But at least in North America, we had a pretty positive experience overall, which is very heartening.
Yeah, well, you talk about how difficult it is to tour in Europe now, and I can imagine because everybody wants to go there, is the best place to play. So, but to the other hand, the big bands start to come to places like South America, Latin America, and we have tons of concerts here, and it's the same problem. You can pay for all the concerts, you can attend all the concerts, and the promoters lose the money, the bands don't get enough audience. So yeah, it's complicated situation, especially for a really small band, for example us. I mean, we thought if the people can pay for the big acts like, I don't know, Pantera or whatever, they will attend the local shows, but that not happen, and it's really sad and it's really strange. So yeah, really
Yeah.
complicated times for music right now.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, you got to be empathetic to everyone's financial situation, and like you said, you can't go to every concert. But I've also like found it strange. The minute we were able to go to shows, I was pretty much going to every show I could. But yeah, it's not everyone's of the same mentality, and some places there even is maybe still some sort of cautious feeling about like being in packed environments again. They're just like so many factors that make it difficult. And yeah, especially like the price of transportation, gas, rental vans, like all that shit has just gone through the roof, and it's really, really hard to like make a living playing live music, or for a lot of people even just break even at this point. But hopefully things will take a turn for the better. And in Europe, we are very fortunate that there's a lot of like government sanctioned arts support, depending on what country you're in, that venues or bands can apply for, just to kind of keep things rolling for the times when there's not a whole lot of money, and a lot of venues were able to survive just thanks to that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's really amazing that you have the support of the government. Sleeve play here recently, and they told us that the government, I mean, support us when they play outside of the country. So that's really amazing. We wish to have that kind of support here. Sadly, that not happened. But well, Estamos de regreso en este Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Seguimos platicando con Nick DiSalvo de la banda Elder y es momento de hablar de su nuevo disco Innate Passage. Así que pues bueno, vamos a escuchar de viva voz de Nick DiSalvo un poco sobre el proceso de composición, grabación, algo sobre el arte y el significado de este álbum. Y pues bueno, nos adelanta un poco que bueno, este fue un disco que se hizo durante el periodo de encierro de la pandemia, cuando todo el mundo estaba guardado. Pues bueno, fue el momento idóneo para empezar a trabajar. Dice que poco después de que lanzaron Omens, pues bueno, ellos ya estaban perfilándose para trabajar en su nuevo material. Así que pues bueno, se tardaron por ahí de un año más o menos en hacer este disco. Dice que fue bastante rápido porque justo no tenían que turear, no tenían que ir a ningún lado, estaban trabajando en casa. Así que pues bueno, esto ayudó mucho a que el álbum fluyera y se pudiera realizar de la mejor forma en tan solo un año. Y pues bueno, la inspiración principal dice que es la pandemia, el cómo se percibe la realidad, cómo todos nosotros tuvimos diferentes lecturas de ese momento histórico. Así que pues bueno, dice que este no es un álbum conceptual como el de los pasados, sino que este es un álbum más de interpretación, de darse cuenta de que uno sigue vivo, de que a pesar de que el mundo ardió y estuvo en caos, pues bueno, todos interpretamos esto de manera muy diferente. Así que pues no hay muchas ideas locas detrás de este álbum como en otros, en los pasados. Así que pues bueno, eso pues dice que de cierta forma es un cambio también en la composición. Siempre están pensando nuevas ideas y esta vez fue como de estamos en crisis, el mundo está ardiendo, solo hagamos música, vamos a divertirnos, pasarla bien. Y pues bueno, así nació este disco, el Innate Passage. Y pues bueno, también la descripción de este mundo tan bizarro en el que estamos viviendo, pues bueno, creo que concuerda mucho con el álbum y sobre todo con el arte que estuvo a cargo de Adrián Dexter, que bueno, pues muchos ya lo conocen por tapas pasadas que ha diseñado para la banda Elder. Él escucha la música y la interpreta. Dice Nick que en realidad no sabe qué es lo que está en la portada del álbum. Nunca le ha preguntado a Dexter realmente qué es. Solamente es una interpretación. Para Nick dice que se ve más como un álbum de progresivo y bueno, ahí nos reímos un poco sobre esto, ¿no? Pero pues bueno, se ve bastante curioso. Son como capas, para mí es como un medio círculo, un círculo son las capas, ¿no? Y para mí, mi interpretación personal, pues bueno, justo son los diferentes periodos que atravesamos, ¿no? En estos momentos de encierro a la humanidad, de caos, del no saber dónde estamos, hasta poder salir nuevamente, poder tener conciertos, saber que estás vivo, que puedes caminar, que puedes respirar. Para mí, pues bueno, el arte tiene mucho sentido junto con la música, evidentemente. Y bueno, finalmente también le preguntamos sobre el uso de los sintetizadores. En los últimos tiempos, en los últimos álbumes, cada vez hay más presencia de sintetizadores, lo cual es increíble. Y pues bueno, le preguntamos si tiene como alguna forma especial de seleccionar los sintetizadores, cómo trabaja con ellos. Y pues bueno, dice que a él le encanta experimentar, tiene varios sintetizadores en casa, siempre está jugando con ellos y pues dice que ahora en los últimos tiempos quizás el 15% de la composición de Elder pues se basa básicamente en sintetizadores. Dice que a mucha gente no le gusta, pero pues que la verdad es que la guitarra siempre ha estado ahí presente y que los sintetizadores ayudan bastante. Dice que ellos no buscan ser una banda de progresivo, no van para allá, simplemente experimentan y lo que sale es lo que van poniendo. Así que pues bueno, se nos hace una cosa increíble porque justamente han cambiado, transformado el sonido clásico stoner, cajonero, ya saben, así Electric Wizard, Cayuse. Está bonito, todos lo amamos, pero hay que llevar esta escena, estos sonidos a un nuevo nivel. Y lo que hace Elder, traer elementos de crowd rock, de psicodelia, de progresivo y combinarlos con esta música lenta, pesada, es simplemente maravilloso. Así que pues bueno, este disco Innate Passage es una obra maestra, así que pues escúchenlo por ahí. Vamos a dejarlos con un track y bueno, por supuesto escuchemos toda esta introducción de parte de Nick DiSalvo en sus palabras. Los dejamos, ya regresamos para decir adiós aquí en Doom and Stone. Gócela.
Καλησπέρα, είμαι ο Χρήστος από Acid Mammoth και ακούτε Doomed and Stoned Latino America.
Let's talk about your new album, Innate Passage. Easily one of the top albums of this year for me. So I want to ask, how was the writing and the recording process of this one? And also, if you can tell us the concept behind the album and the cover artwork, please.
Yeah, this record was well, somehow it was written pretty quickly, it feels like. Basically, when we released our previous record, Omens, in April of 2020, that was released pretty much the same week, I think, that at least Germany had announced it was more or less shutting down things to a great extent. And it really became clear that, we weren't going anywhere. We weren't going on tour, nothing like that. So just kind of shifted our whole focus from anticipating business as usual and tours to just going into writing mode again. And I really think that the strange state of the world at that period of time, a lot of the uncertainty and uncertainty morphing into more and more of like understanding like what's going on and seeing how people react in the condition of like the world in a pandemic, and just seeing a lot of the bizarre stuff happening around, that totally fueled, in its own weird way, like inspiration for writing the record, at least on like a lyrical level. And definitely just having more time at home, like at home meaning not on tour, and having more time like with Michael and Georg, who were also in Berlin during the entirety of the pandemic, to like meet up and work on some ideas that just made the whole thing kind of like flow a lot faster. So we were able to write and record the record within, I don't know, what was it, a year or maybe a year even of Omens being released. So yeah, it went pretty quick. And like I said, a lot of the record, its themes deal with this kind of like surreal interpretation of the world, or like surreal, world events that happened the past couple of years, and how everyone kind of processed that, like and especially how a lot of people decided upon their own version of truth, facts, or events, and kind of, put themselves on their own path of reality. It just seemed like pretty interesting time where I realized how much we do create our own perception of reality, just completely colors the way that you do actually view the world. And Innate Passage has kind of stories about this period of time. It's not really a heavy concept album or something like that, like the past couple records have been, or at least Omens was very much like a concept. This is just kind of musings about, the bizarre period of time that we were in. And the artwork is also kind of, well, the artwork was the concept of Adrian Dexter, who does all of our album art for the most part. He always does a really good job of visualizing what he hears in the music and reads in the lyrics. And since a lot of it was kind of about this creation of an inner world, the inner path that leads to like your own version of reality, I assume that's why he came up with this kind of cross section of a smooth globe. But to be perfectly honest, I never really give direction to the artwork. It's kind of like his job to interpret the music into visuals. And I think the half abstract nature of the artwork also speaks to the fact that this, it's not necessarily like a concept album or something like that. And
And it matched perfectly, the artwork and the music. It's really amazing when you're listening to the album and you see the artwork. It works perfectly. I mean, it's a really strange
totally,
but nice connection.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not really sure what it is about it, but for me, I saw it and I thought this somehow looks like a prog rock album cover. And
Yeah.
I really don't know why that is, but it did fit the music for me too. And the color scheme, it was somehow, I don't know, red, cream. It's weird. Sometimes it's like easy to think of music in terms of colors, and he does a really good job of, sometimes there's stuff that's extremely intricate, and sometimes he does stuff that's more muted and subdued, and he usually manages to hit the nail on the head pretty good for what we're going for musically.
Yeah. And now I want to ask you, well, I love the continue of use of synthesizer and keys in your music. It's just wonderful. What's the choice process for this sound? Do you have any specific setup, or do you experiment with different things for each recording?
I've got a couple synthesizers at home that are like my go-to instruments when I'm just looking for a different, like texture. There's a lot of guitars in the music, and even if some people think like, oh, they're using way too many synthesizers, like I implore you to listen to the record again, because there's so many fucking guitars. Sometimes it's basically just like, oh, I've got an idea for another melody or another sound, but there's already too many guitars. Let's just put it in a synthesizer. Let's use a piano, let's use a mellotron, something that just adds another sonic layer to the whole mix. And that's really what the experimentation with different instruments has always been about for us. It's not trying to become more and more prog by putting keyboards or something. It's just that, all the melodies have a timbre that fits, and sometimes it's like a solo. Oh, is it going to be better to play the solo on guitar or on, keyboard? And yeah, I mean, that becomes a difficult choice sometimes, because we do have to play this stuff live, and with only 4 people, all of that gets a little complicated. But yeah, and I don't know. I find also like just writing music with keyboards is very inspirational, and I find myself doing almost like 50% of my composition these days on keyboard. Just because it's somehow opens up, different ideas. You play the instrument just differently and intuitively than a guitar.
Regresamos para decir adiós aquí en Doom and Stone Latinoamérica. Gracias por habernos acompañado en este especial con Nick DiSalvo de la banda Elder. Vamos a escuchar un último bloque. Le preguntamos qué es lo que inspira a Nick para crear música. Y pues bueno, le preguntamos si es el cine, si tiene alguna otra afición como caminar, leer, y nos dice que prácticamente lo que lo inspira es la gente, que es algo muy terapéutico. Salir de tour es algo increíble. Dice que este año por fin pudieron salir y tocaron más de 100 shows. La verdad es que estar de tour es increíble, le encanta estar en contacto con la gente y es lo que más lo inspira, es donde se siente feliz prácticamente y extrañaba eso. Fue algo muy terapéutico después de un encierro tan largo. Así que pues bueno, eso es lo que inspira a Nick DiSalvo. También le preguntamos sobre su proyecto Delving, si volverá. Dice que es lo siguiente en su lista, que está trabajando en nuevo material y que ojalá pronto pueda grabarlo y bueno, lanzarlo para todos los fanáticos que están ahí afuera. Este proyecto Delving lo hizo en pandemia y es increíble, una obra maestra. Finalmente le preguntamos si va a venir él de alguna vez a Latinoamérica, si regresarán a México, y dice que es muy difícil, no imposible, ellos lo quieren y han hablado con su tour manager, con su agente, pero pues bueno, el tema de la logística, el tema de viajar con cosas se ha vuelto muy complicado, sobre todo después de lo que le pasó a la banda, donde la aerolínea perdió todos sus instrumentos. Entonces es todo un tema. Dice que no lo descartan, pero que va a tardar y quizás pues bueno, no sea algo inmediato, pero bueno, sin duda les gustaría venir. Ven más factible regresar a México, pasar de Estados Unidos a México, eso es todavía mucho más factible, pero bueno, Sudamérica tendrá que esperar, no sabemos por cuánto tiempo, así que pues bueno, hay que estar ahí al pendientes. Y bueno, también una cosa que nos dijo Nick y nos gustó mucho es que hay que estar siempre abiertos al mundo. Cuando nosotros vemos el mundo con ojos diferentes, de repente aparece la inspiración. Ahí en el mundo, ahí en la cotidianidad es donde está la mayor inspiración. No necesitamos tener como algo súper extraordinario, sino solamente abrir los ojos, cambiar como de gafas y bueno, eso es, así vas a encontrar la inspiración. Bueno, muchas gracias por habernos acompañado. Disculpe usted las molestias, venimos saliendo de una enfermedad respiratoria bastante pesada, pero poco a poco iremos retomando el ritmo aquí en Doom and Stone. Gracias por habernos acompañado. Nos queda un especial más con Jacob de Causa Sui, Edena Gardens y por supuesto El Paraíso Records. Estén muy atentos en nuestras redes sociales, Doom and Stone Latinoamérica en Facebook, Instagram y Twitter. Muchas gracias nuevamente, cuídense mucho y por supuesto, gócenla.
Hello from Germany. This is Volker, the voice of Freak Valley Festival in Germany. I wish you a lot of fun by the radio show Doom and Stoned in Latino America. Viel Spaß!
Okay, besides music, what other things have been inspiring you lately? Maybe movies, museums, walk, or what other things?
Man, well, I think first and foremost, like we just went on 3 very long tours this year, which was like hugely therapeutic. And also, I think that was probably the most inspiring thing that happened to me in recent times. Played 100 shows in, tons of different countries. Well, at least, between Canada, the States, and then most of Europe. And just like that aspect of traveling and meeting fans again and playing with other bands was like so missed in my life that I really found myself like refreshed and inspired by that experience. And to be honest, I haven't really since we got home. I went to Belgium to assist a cool Belgian band with production in their record, and I've only been home very few weeks in the past like half year, so I haven't really had a chance to like even get into too much other stuff like movies or books or anything like that. But I moved recently over the summer to a new spot in Berlin, like that I haven't lived before, and also found myself like now just having some time to explore this corner of the city. I just like always find this, kind of inspiring to like get more, just get like a different perspective on where you live. And since probably from when we talked about my solo project Delving, that like I got a lot of inspiration from that, just from kind of like observing the everyday surroundings and trying to be like take a more like meditative approach to like how you experience everyday life, and just keep your eyes open and perceive things on a different level. I kind of try to in general to channel something from my immediate surroundings and the outer world in general into inspiration for music, and that usually works pretty well.
That's fantastic. And well, talking about delving, do you have any plans to bring back the project to record another album, a tour, or something like that? I'm a big fan.
Yeah, that's actually the very next thing that's on my list to do. I'm working on some new songs right now because I'd really like to record a record this winter. So I don't know about tours or live shows or anything like that. It's still very much a solo project, where I have to, invite or hire or bribe friends to play shows with me. But I have a lot of ideas perfect for this project. So I'm going to try and get my ass down and put myself back to work and have something recorded before the tour cycle starts for the next Elder record in springtime.
Nice. That's good news for me and for all the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the final question, and I want to thank you for your time. Do you have any plans for tour with this new album, and if any chance to have you back in Latin America?
We do have tour plans, and I'm sad to say that at the moment we don't have any concrete plans for Latin America or South America. And that's certainly not because of lack of interest or anything. It's something we are actively talking about with our like manager and booking agent. So I'm hoping that it's something that we get together within the near future. But we'll definitely be in the States quite a bit in the next year and doing some selected shows in Europe. So yeah, we'll be around. Probably not as intense as last year, but I really hope that we can make it down to at least Mexico once more. It's a damn shame that for all these years we've only played there only once.
Yeah, I think Mexico, it's more easy for you if you come to the United States, to San Diego, for example. You can cross directly to Tijuana and then start like a small tour in Mexico. I mean, that sounds much easier than travel to Chile or Argentina or Colombia, etc.
This is true. Yeah. And we're very cautious about how much flying we do with equipment these days. Some people probably saw that we lost all of our equipment basically in like during last summer, flying between a couple of festivals, and it took us like months to recover it back, and we only got it back due to completely to stupid luck that some guy stumbled across our stuff basically. And yeah, we know that the airlines are still struggling with this kind of shit, so we're very much cautious about like flying to places until that stabilizes, because that can put you out of work quite quickly. Like we were saying, there's like a lot of dumb hurdles nowadays to being a live musician. It just never stops.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can come. You have really good fans here. And well, do you have any final words for your fans in Mexico, Latin America, around the world?
We're just really stoked that there's anyone out there listening, and glad you enjoy, and really hope that we can come play for you sometime soon. And yeah, keep it on and be well out there. Thanks for listening.